Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Aleeza Ben Shalom, and we are so excited to have you here tonight because we are going to talk all about how let's not get physical, right? With COVID, with a new world, and for many, many good reasons, which we're going to talk about tonight. But this is Let's Not Get Physical, part 2, dos, uno, dos, chad, shtaim, right? We need a little thing going on here. So what we want to talk about is how virtual dating and physical intimacy complement each other in this way. And like, what do you mean by complement? I was like, I don't know. So I asked Sarah, I was like, hey, Sarah, what do we mean by how do they complement each other?
That's what happens when we're so good and we plan these webinars like weeks in advance.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what do you mean complement? Virtual dating and physical intimacy, they don't complement each other at all. You're virtual. There is no physical intimacy. She's like, exactly. Aha. That's the compliment. Why is that a compliment? Because there is an amazing, beautiful place in the world for physical intimacy. There's an amazing, beautiful place in the world for virtual dating. And when the two of them are together in the world, one balances the other one out. Okay, so we're going to get to all of this in a moment, which I'm really excited about. But first, I want to say a tremendous thank you to our sponsor tonight, which is Jessica Fass from Fast Pass to Love. She is a wonderful matchmaker who I adore and I love working with. We have been collaborating for quite a while now, and we've been working with clients together. So they get a little matchmaking, they get a little coaching. It's kind of like the 1-2 punch. It's been really special. And if you want to learn more about her, you can go to Fast Pass to Love, and you will find her there, .com, fastpasstolove.com. And at the end, we'll tell you, she'll come on and she'll pop on for a minute and say hi. Okay, so here we go. Physical intimacy and virtual dating. So virtual dating is like this. This is virtual, either like that or on the phone. You're schmoozing with somebody, you're connecting with somebody. You're just not doing it in person. There's just no mano a mano, face to face. There's just no me and you happening. There's just only virtual me and you happening. And when you're virtual, what happens instead of physical intimacy is hopefully emotional intimacy, right? You're supposed to build a connection. It's supposed to be this inner connection that's happening for you. And guess what? If there is no inner connection happening for you, then there's no reason to have physical intimacy anyway. You don't like them. We don't care. But it's very hard. So I'm gonna break this down and give you a scenario. Let's say you go out with somebody and you're not sure if you like them, you're not sure if you don't like them, you're just like somewhere in between. And what happens if physical intimacy comes into the picture? Now what happens is your brain gets cloudy. So you could get cloudy or you could get clear, right? So if you're not sure and the physical intimacy isn't great, now everything's not great. The whole thing is throw the baby in the bath, baby out with the bathwater. It's just no good at all. If it is okay, if it's great physical intimacy and you're not sure about them, you're like, oh, but everything feels great physically. And so like you jump on board and you're not really on board. You're just not. You're partially on board and the physical intimacy was okay. And now you're like, well, I guess it'll be okay. And then 1 month or 2 months or 6 months or however many months down the road, you're like, oh, Aleeza, I don't know if I really like them. I'm like, how long have you been dating? And then they tell me how long. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? They're like, well, I mean, I was never really sure, but this kind of got in my way and it started to cloud my judgment. Now, let's take a few steps back. I'm going backwards here. So a few steps back, Aleeza, what is your personal philosophy on physical intimacy and dating? Like, where do you hold? What are you thinking? So my personal philosophy is that it's really better to date somebody without physical intimacy being in the picture. Are you serious? I'm totally serious. No, I'm really serious, right? Serious. Thank you, Sarah, for the effects there. Yes. So yeah, wait a minute. What do you mean, like, no physical, how are you going to know? And what if, and I mean, what if that's not okay? And how's it all going to work? So, that I'm remembering a commercial from my childhood. It was like, I'm not just telling you to buy this product. I use it myself. right? Remember that? Those kinds of commercials. So like, I'm not just telling you not to engage in physical intimacy while you're dating. I did it myself, right? I dated my husband and we weren't physically intimate before we got married. We got married. And the first time I held his hand was under the chuppah after they're like, you know, like, done, great, we're going to take you to the yichud room. Like, and he grabbed my hand and off we went. And I was like, oh, he's holding my hand. He's holding my hand. This is so special. And there was a moment there. That moment can't exist. You can't have that moment. You can't get that moment unless you don't engage in physical intimacy, unless you've built an emotional connection without a physical connection. Okay. Thanks, Aleeza, for your personal philosophy, but I don't subscribe to it and I'm listening to your webinar. Now what? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Thank you for asking. So now what I want to tell you is, okay, that's like, here's the ideal. Now let me tell you the reality. The reality is some people engage in physical intimacy during relationships. Most people, many, many, many people do. It's just the way of the world. So if we look at the world and we see that physical intimacy is a part of relationships, then we're going to say, great. So what do I do about that? Like, how do I handle it? I'm not going to go the Aleeza route. What's the other Aleeza option? Okay. So there's, you know, option. I'm not going to say one or two or better or worse. This option and that option. Okay. So what's that option? That option is what I call the 5-date challenge, which I think, did we talk about that on?
Yeah, we spoke about this when
physical
we did
intimacy part 1, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm making a modification to my 5-date challenge. I'm going to give you an update. Oh, you're going to like this update. I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But I was actually talking to Jessica Fast of Fast Pass to Love. And she's like, Aleeza, your 5-date challenge is a little difficult, which basically means hands off for 5 dates. And if you still like them and you want to go out and you're going to engage in physical intimacy, wait until after the 5th date, wait until the 6th date. Okay. So she's like, Aleeza, I don't know if people are going to buy into that. I was like, I know, it's kind of rough, isn't it? She goes, especially because right now it's COVID dating. It's different. They could be virtual dating for 2 months and then they get in person. And now you're going to tell them to wait another 5 dates after just having seen them for 2 months. And maybe they only go out 2 or 3 times, and then they're not in person, and they are, and then they're not. And then there's these gaps. And what she's like, they're not going to be able to hold to that. And I was like, yeah, you're right. COVID dating is different. And they might really have an emotional connection because they've already been holding by it for 2 months. So we're going to modify it and say that if you are going to break the rules, let's do it in a smart way. And you could do it, but not until after the 3rd date. Okay. That still means I want to see your Prenup in person. I want to experience you in person without touching you for 3 dates. I want to know, Sarah. Yes.
I want to challenge you on that. Because you've got it in my brain already.
The 5 dates, right? But,
yeah.
Okay, wait.
I'll tell you why.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
And I say this as from your perspective, being that this is your philosophy and being that I read virtual dating. So I think if anything, it's so much more necessary because with COVID dating, you're developing a relationship, especially if you're dating for 2 months and you're developing a strong emotional relationship without having ever seen each other. The reality is that when you meet in person, it's different. So if you come in with this expectation of who the person is and you dive right into the physical stuff, then you don't ever really get a chance to get to know them in person, right?
I said, but 3 dates, not 5.
I know, but if you're going to tell me the 5 is
after the 3rd date, so it's really the 4th. It's kind of like okay, fine. So then, okay, it's like when you're on a diet.
Do you hear what I'm saying?
I hear, so I'm saying like there's the modification, which is the 5 date. Hold off till 5 dates. If you really, really, really can't do it and you're like, Aleeza, I'm not going to hold by it. I'm going to hold by 0 dates. Like I'm going to just meet them and do whatever I want, whenever I want. Then I'll challenge you to take an even more modified version, which is the 3 dates. But I really hear your point, but I want everybody else to hear my point, which is I just want you to try being in somebody's presence and not touching them. I just want you to try to be emotionally connected. I want you to be physically connected with your eyes. I want your eyes to be glued on them. I want you to, I mean, don't stare them down and be like super creepy, but I just want, right? I want you to be there. I want you to be in the moment with them. Yeah, don't get all starry-eyed on me. But I just want somebody to experience you. And I want them, here's the deal. Some people, here's the philosophy, but Aleeza, if I say no physically to anything, then they're just going to move on and they're going to go chase somebody else. And I'm telling you, you're wrong. They're going to try to get you even harder. They're going to try even more because they really, like, they want what they can't have. And you're like, let's just hold off. I mean, I'm following this 3-date rule thing, 5 dates, whatever, but we knocked it down to 3, right? And they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Tell me more. Why would you do that? And you're going to be able to experience them in a different way. And if you like them and you're sure you like the human being that's there, by the way, the 3-date rule, Sarah, is really only if you've had virtual dating first.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, like this got to be,
Yeah.
Right? Virtual, well, because the webinar is virtual dating and physical intimacy. So everybody got that. But the whole goal is that we really get a chance to know, do I like you? And if I don't like you, I'm not wasting my time. I'm not fooling around for the sake of fooling around. Like if you're on this webinar, this isn't about dating for fun or that. This is marriage-minded, relationship, serious. I want to get into something with somebody, and it's not that I want to get into bed with them. I want to get into a relationship with them. Right. And then later you get married and then you can do the rest of it. But I want to develop a beautiful relationship with somebody. And I can't do that if I don't know if I like you. I don't know if I like you. What am I going to develop? Sorry, you look like you wanted to.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this last time, and I think it's worth repeating because you just said that if you don't give them what they want, they're not going to run away. They're going to chase you. They're going to want it even more. And if they are the kind, okay, you can say it.
Go.
If they are the kind of guy that's going to walk away because of that, they weren't going to stick around in the first place.
By the way, there's pretty aggressive ladies these days who are all into many things also. Either side, if they were going to leave, they were going to leave anyway, and they will leave anyway. You'll just lose them before you waste your time with them. Great. Now they just saved you a couple dates. So I just want everybody to be like, stick your thinking cap on. Like, let's get our head on straight and think about this. Do you really like the human being in front of you? Like, really like them? Like who they are as a person and their values and what they're all about and family, lifestyle and who they want to be. And in 5 years, what's their vision? In 10 years, what do they want out of life? Do you have similarities? Do you have values in life? Like, are you in touch with each other? Are you connected? Where are your points of connection? And if you have those points of connection, how strong are they? And is this the person for you? And if the answer is yes, great. Then I know you like the human being. And then physically, like whatever you decide to do on your own, you decide to do. And at least we have a foundation of a healthy relationship. If we don't have this foundation of a healthy relationship, then what do we really have? You tell me what we have. I don't know that we have anything. I'm just not so convinced that we have something here that's worthwhile to keep or worthwhile to invest in. And that's my big debate about this. Like, I'm super open-minded, by the way. I'm super not judgmental. I want to help people in the best way possible, right? Which is why I'm telling you we could go this road or this road or this road or this road. There's lots of different options. If you ask me, like, what's your personal philosophy and road, I'm going to tell you what the way that I believe that will get you there the best and the strongest. But everybody's got to do what works for them, because this is your life and you get to make lots of decisions about who you are and who you want to be and who you want to be married to and who you want to live with, because who you live with, you start to become, right? So if you don't like that partner that you're living with and you start to become like them, you're like, oh
that sounds awful.
Right? You really need to be with somebody that you would like to be more like. Have you ever seen those couples, the sweet, like they've been married for 30, 40, 50 years. Okay, not 30, like 50, 60 years, like, and they start to look alike, and then they have the same gestures, and then when they sit at the table, they're both sitting there like this. They have the same look, the style, like there's just they become like one because they've been around each other so much. So they internalize so much naturally, it just through osmosis, it just happens. So who do you want to be with? Who do you want to be like? Who do you want to be more connected to? And who is that person? And the physical stuff, yes, we have to work on it. Yeah, we have to worry about it. Great. That's why there's sex therapists. There's all sorts of people in the world to support people with relationships in all different areas. And we want to make sure that you have what you need. But if there's no foundation of a healthy, emotional, grounded, value-driven, strong relationship, who cares about the physical? There's nothing there. That's just for fun. We're not looking for fun. We're looking for somebody real. We want this person, like, please God, send this person to you. May it be this year. May it be soon. May it be now. And enough already. Enough. So we just have to do our part to identify them. And so your brain should be clear and focused and not scattered or confused. We just don't engage with everything all at once. When we like hyper focus on something, you know, like this, we tunnel vision, it can be very good. Then we have to open our eyes and we have to see and put all the pieces of puzzle together. But we really need to hyper focus on, is this my person? Do I like this person? What's going on here? I don't know, Aleeza, maybe I like them, maybe I don't like them. Okay, date them a little longer. Let's figure it out. But hands off for clarity.
Aleeza, someone
Yes, tell me.
commented in the chat box, there are no rules for intimacy timeline. Every relationship is different. What would be your take on that?
Well, yes, because, well, intimacy, intimacy is a different word than physical intimacy. Are we referring to
I think we're referring to physical intimacy.
Yeah. So every couple is different. And now we talked about this before, but in addition to everything else you had to consider, now we have to consider, what do you think about COVID and physical touch? Because I don't want to touch your hand. I don't want to be physically intimate because of COVID. So yes, I agree that everybody has a different timeline and a different preference, and some people are more or less comfortable with physical intimacy. And I'm kind of saying, okay, great, yeah, that's a baseline, but I'm gonna say, like, the general rule of thumb, just hold off until you know if you like the human being before you engage with physical intimacy, right? So I'm gonna level the playing field and say, yeah, well, this is all different and everybody has a different timeline. But yeah, I want everybody to have a universal timeline, and I'm going to give you a little bit of wiggle room, but like 3 to 5 dates, not until after 3 to 5 dates. So you actually like the human being. 3 to 5 in-person dates until you like the human being that you are with, and you are sure that this is a human being that you could potentially spend a lifetime with, potentially. Like, that's, yeah, in 3 to 5 dates, I want you to get to that point where you just start to know somebody and start to feel that connected. If you're not that connected emotionally or values or in any other way, so let's not bring physical intimacy into the picture yet. We don't have enough information to decide whether it's even worth being in a physical relationship with them.
Nice. All right.
Awesome. Ready to get started with the Q&A? Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I love it.
Is it possible to go back to being not physical after already engaging in a physical relationship? And how can you prevent any awkwardness? How do I broach the subject so that he knows it's not that I don't want to be physical with him, but just that I want to get to know them more? Yeah,
love this question. I think that you could be straightforward and just say, hey, either I read a book, I heard a class, I was learning about this concept. Let me tell you what I found interesting about it. And I kind of wanted to try it because I think that there could be potential here, and I don't know you well enough to know if there's real potential or not. And I don't want to get confused in the beginning. And here's what I'm thinking. Let's try this. And you tell them what the plan is, but you have to know clearly for yourself what the plan is. And by the way, once you tell somebody your plan and you say, like, this is what we're going to do and this is what works for me, and they're like, okay, great, I'm on board, you can't break. You're not allowed to break and ruin your own plan, because then they won't trust you that you have the ability to take care of yourself. And if you can't take care of yourself, how can you be in a relationship and take care of somebody else? So once you set a rule down, you need to follow it to the best of your ability. Things happen, but you really need to stick to it, like strongly, strongly stick to it, so that they value who you are and they see that you're real and sincere, and they probably need you to be a rock and totally solid, because they might be a little bit wishy-washy and like, I mean, I guess if you're on board to do it, like, I'll come along, but you're going to have to be the foundation of setting the rules and sticking to them. So make sure not to put yourself in a secluded place. You know, don't sit quietly together in a place where it's very private and a little bit too romantic, so that you don't tempt yourselves.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this question just needs a little bit of clarification. As religious people, how is touch even on the table as hard as it is? So just to clarify, Aleeza's got viewers from all over the world, singles from all different backgrounds, and everywhere from secular to Orthodox. So if you are Shomer Nagia, which means that you don't touch the opposite gender until after marriage, thumbs up. Then a lot of this content is stuff that you're already familiar with. But this is for people who don't necessarily implement that practice. And I would say the reality is, and I hope, Aleeza, I hope it's okay that I'm saying this, but the reality is that a lot of Orthodox people, even who come from the background where not touching is the norm, even if they started a relationship that way or started dating that way, don't necessarily, like you said, it's hard, it's challenging, and so don't necessarily uphold that practice. And it's just, this is another reason why you should.
Right. Correct to all of that. And yeah, no, I don't think you nailed it.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The question.
It was good, it worked.
What are your thoughts on being physically intimate because you think this person is the one, and then for whatever valid reason, the relationship ends?
My thoughts are that you probably messed it up by being physically intimate.
Ooh, really?
I mean, if you really think this person is the one, you should have just married him. Physical intimacy takes things to another level.
So are you saying that the 5-date rule is really like if you have to, but you believe like don't even touch at all?
Again, we've got the ideal, then we've got the reality of what happens in a lot of the world, and then we've got the, okay, at least try something, do something different.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that the ideal is not physically touching before marriage. Besides having, clients and people that I've worked with, that was my personal practice with my husband, and we're coming up on our 18th wedding anniversary after the holidays, actually. Actually, October 13th is our English wedding date, and Zion Cheshvan is our
really
wedding
soon.
date.
That's
it's
like
really soon. 18 years. So it's worked for 18 years. I mean, can't tell you if it'll work for a lifetime. No, I'm just kidding. We're fine. I knew him. You asked me if I knew my husband. I really knew him. And then everybody goes, but how would you know if it was going to work out physically or it's not? I knew it was going to work out because I knew the human being, and I knew that whatever challenges we were going to face, we would get over them. So if we had different physical preferences, we would figure those things out, and we would have the skills to do that because we had the emotional grounding, we had the values, we had everything else in place to be successful. So I know if we have the higher level of who we are, right? The essence of who we are is really in touch and really on board for building a relationship for a lifetime, then we'll get the physical side on board as well. And we have the ability to do that together, to navigate that piece of it. I just want to say, for the person who asked that question, forgive me. I did not mean to be too harsh to say like, oh, you ruined it. And potentially physical intimacy does ruin a relationship. Now, it could be something completely different that didn't work out with this relationship. But if you really thought that this had the potential to be the person, then what did the physical intimacy add to that? Was it like, oh, but let me just have this final thing and see if that also works too? And then did that throw a monkey wrench in things? And then did that mess things up? And then were you confused about that? And then did that trigger something else? And then all of a sudden there's all these things, and then you don't even know where it started and what. I don't know what happened, but I just know that physical intimacy takes emotional intimacy to a different level, and there's a higher level of sensitivity. And when you heighten everything and you just like get it going, and then you don't, if something happens, and and then the whole thing just gets confusing. There's so many moving parts. And then sometimes we forget, I really have this amazing human being in front of me, amazing human being who I really wanted to marry. Like this could have been the one. And why am I not working on this anymore? And I don't know what happened with the physical intimacy piece, but it just gets messy and really, really complicated. And
All right.
if you're a man, this might feel a little bit like, for some men, not a majority, not all of them, I'm not just, for some men, physical intimacy is just physical intimacy. There's like less emotional stuff around it. Not for everyone, but for some. And for women in general, it's highly charged. It's highly, highly charged thing. It takes the relationship to the next level. You have different thoughts, you have different expectations, you have different needs, you have different emotional needs, and all of a sudden everything is heightened. And yeah, it can really mess things up. So just be careful, be cautious. And maybe that relationship that didn't fly, maybe you could revive it. Reviving relationships. Ooh, reviving, write that down. No, I'm going to take notes. Reviving relationships is one of my favorite things to do. We need a webinar on that. Taking notes.
All right, Aleeza, this same questioner has a follow-up question. Do we share that information with the next person we date, that we were physically intimate?
No.
Okay, explain that, because I know we talked about it last webinar also, and it's something that I hear about a lot from my friends, and I remember being surprised when you had such a strong negative reaction to that thought.
Yeah,
so,
I still have that reaction. No,
okay, fine.
No.
Without making everyone feel bad for doing it.
Oh, don't feel bad. No. Oh gosh, no. Don't feel,
I know.
Don't feel bad. But no, this is your private life, your private information. This is nobody's information. You did something, you didn't do something, like, it's your thing. You're not doing it anymore. You're behaving differently now, going for it. It's nobody's information, who you are and where you've been and what you've done. And the reason is, what good does it do to this relationship? So somebody should tell me that they were with somebody else or with 10 other people or with whomever. Like I want to know that. That's good for me to know. That's good for me to build my relationship with you. Does it make me feel better about you? Does it, like, no, well, I just want to know. Well, how does it help the relationship? I think it has the potential to do so much more harm to the relationship than good. That's why I say it's nobody's information. If you have a problem, if you have a sex addiction, if you have a physically intimate sexual something that is just out of the norm, and there's something else going on that is a deeper issue, that's not what I'm talking about. If that's the case, get therapy, get support, get anything that you need for that. That might be something that you need to disclose. The fact that you were in a relationship with somebody, generically not having to do with anything that you need, support with, just that you ended up being physically intimate, even if you didn't want to or didn't mean to or didn't, but it's just nobody's business about that. That's just like, that's life. That's your thing. It's what happened. It's in the past. It's done. Focus on this relationship. Focus on this person.
That makes sense. Someone says, it reminds me of a Backstreet Boys song. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did, as long as you love me.
As long as you. I know that song.
We'll get you a mic later. All right. Aleeza, how do you feel about touch after an engagement? Like, if there's no physical touch until the engagement, why or why not?
Okay, if there's no physical touch before, my recommendation is wait till the wedding. It's great. You can't get that moment back. You can't. It doesn't exist. Your wedding will not be the same. And if you held out that long, just wait. Just wait. You won't know what I'm talking about until you know, and you won't know what you're missing until you break. But it's not worth it. And by the way, just because you're engaged doesn't mean you're getting married. Sorry, don't get mad at me. But it doesn't. How many engagements break off? And what happens if your engagement breaks off and then you're like, oh, I would have never touched you if I didn't know I was marrying you. I wasn't going to be like that. yeah, you could be that person, and it just, for some reason, oh my gosh, why didn't it work out? And maybe it was physical intimacy that threw a monkey wrench, and you didn't have the skills to cope with it, and all the engagement schmutz that's like, woo, so busy, and there's so much stuff that goes on, and there's emotions and money, and everybody gets all weird. Like, don't throw something else into the mix. It really could ruin something. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's my advice. It's straight and,
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, but like, I take it with a grain of salt. Like, I hope you can handle hearing that.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. On
Oh,
behalf
sorry,
of
I'm
everyone.
sorry. I'm so
On
glad
behalf of everyone who's listening, that makes a lot of sense. What happens when you're not physical with someone and they want to become physical after 5 or 6 dates, except you're just not attracted enough to be physical with them?
I mean, you're not going to be able to make the relationship work if you're not physically attracted enough. Some people say, well, maybe we should try being physically intimate because maybe that will help and maybe that would make it better. It's not a bad theory, to be honest. Sometimes it does help, but if your default is like, you're nice and you're good, you're just not the person I want to look at for the rest of my life. I don't think I can handle this. If that's how you're feeling, then I think that we need to just say, I don't want to go out anymore, and I'm sorry. You're a good you're a good person. You're just not a good person for me.
So I just want to clarify, after 5 or 6 dates, do you feel like this person should give their date more time to see if that attraction grows, or at this point should they have
so attraction can totally grow. Again, so this is a new webinar, so we have new friends here. So the rule goes like this: if you are repulsed, it's a no. Easy. If you're attracted, woohoo, no problem. Everything else in the middle, when in doubt, go out, date them till you hate them, keep rolling with it. So if the physical attraction is like, I don't know, somewhere in the middle range, you're like, I mean, not the hottest person I've ever seen, but not the most repulsive person. I wish they looked better, but they're okay. And right. So if you're in that mode, keep going out. Attraction can grow.
What would you say?
So here's the deal. Physical intimacy. If you introduce physical intimacy and you're not really attracted, and the physical intimacy is like also, you could take it or leave it, the whole thing's just going to be sour and you're not going to be able to see if something's there. If you try to make the relationship grow without physical intimacy and you get into them and you're like, no, I do like them. Oh, I got used to their looks and things got more comfortable, then you have a shot at actually making the relationship work. I think, again, physical intimacy is more of a risk of ruining than a benefit to creating something good.
So in that kind of scenario, how would you respond? Like if it's a conversation and your date, says we've been dating 5, 6 dates, how do you feel about,
I'd rather not. I'd rather wait. And, I find it's better for the relationship if we, get to know each other a little more, like one of those kind of conversations. That's what I would do. Because you don't really want to be physically intimate with them. Like right now, you're just like, no, don't touch me. No, don't touch me.
All right. So we got a comment that came in that says, if there's no physical attraction, zero intimacy, break it off ASAP. I'm going to ask you, Aleeza, agree or disagree?
If there's no physical attraction,
break it off ASAP.
Okay, so does no physical attraction mean repulsed? It just means
no.
But it doesn't sound like neutral or par minus.
I think
minus.
This person has the expectation that physical attraction is there, and I don't think that's reality for a lot of people.
To a degree, there needs to be an attraction in the beginning. To a degree, right? So,
but I don't know that it necessarily has to be a physical attraction. There is usually an attraction if you're going to keep going out with someone. Is it a physical attraction? Not necessarily. And also, his comment was no physical attraction, zero intimacy. But again, you can have intimacy without having physical intimacy. You can have emotional intimacy. You can have spiritual intimacy. You can have intellectual intimacy. So intimacy on a different kind of intimacy without physical attraction can lead to physical attraction. And this is something that we discussed in a previous webinar. So I guess it's also open to interpretation and how you understand what that means.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on dating a person that has had physical intimacy with other partners in the past?
Does this assume that that person who's asking the question hasn't?
I think so. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a really good question. I think that if they're in a place where they're open to dating somebody who is not going to be physically intimate, then you can give them an opportunity. It really depends culturally. I've seen just in terms of the Jewish spectrum and a religious crowd or a secular crowd or anywhere kind of in between. Sometimes we have partners that come together that have different life experiences, and some have physical intimacy and they've transformed themselves and now they're not doing that anymore. And others, you know, are still doing it or on or off or based on their partner. If the partner doesn't want to engage in physical intimacy, then they're okay with it. And if the other partner is okay with it, then they're also okay with it, right? Everybody kind of has a different level where they're holding. So my question would be not about the partner, but would be about you. Are you okay with that? Are you okay if somebody had a previous life experience, and are you okay coming into a relationship where that has existed? It's really a personal question, and I don't think that I can answer it for you. I think that you need to answer it, and depending on who you are, and like this is sometimes some of the things we do when we work with our clients, we talk about who they are, what they're comfortable with, and who they've, you know, what types of experiences they've had and what types of experiences they're willing to accept from another person, right? If you can't accept that about somebody, you can't date them.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a follow-up to a comment that you made in a previous answer to a previous question.
Okay.
After a relationship is strongly established, you argue that physical intimacy throws a monkey wrench into the situation. Why do you think physical intimacy couldn't possibly help?
Couldn't help. So we have, I'll give you one answer, but I think this is like a big question. You know, we could do a whole webinar on this whole question. So take this lightly and know that there's more there. But I think that we have an expectation that physical intimacy is something positive in a relationship, and that is always going to be good. And so when you're with somebody and you're dating them, in general, physical intimacy aside, just dates, some dates are good and you're like, awesome, I like this person. And some dates are okay and you're like, it's cool, I still like them. And some dates are lousy and you're like, maybe I don't like them, I don't know. And then you have awesome dates, and you have really awesome dates, and then you have right? And you're all over the map and you're like, but mostly like it works, right? What we forget with physical intimacy, it works the same way, right? Physical intimacy could be awesome and amazing, and you're like, wow, we have such a connection. And the next time you could be like, huh, I guess I was wrong. You know, like it's just not there. And then your brain gets a little confused. And so it's not always going to be great. Physical intimacy is going to be maybe not great, or maybe okay, or maybe not what you like, or not what you want, or not when you want. Or it just, there's so many moving factors to it that it's not going to be like, but it's good every single time and it's exactly what I need. And wow, it just elevates the relationship. It brings it up, it brings it down, it brings it all over the map. And then you mix that with emotional intimacy and spiritual intimacy and all other kinds of intimacy. And now your whole brain is mushed and you don't even know what you think or feel about them anymore. And that's a little bit of a challenge.
So I'm gonna ask the follow-up question now.
Okay.
Why is
you can summarize for me also.
Why is physical intimacy more than, like, we give time and space for emotional intimacy, we give time and space for spiritual and intellectual intimacy. Why is physical intimacy the thing that we don't want to give time and space for? Why is it more than the other intimacies, like, riskier?
Love this question.
Thank you.
It's so deep. It's so good. Okay.
It's okay if you don't have an answer.
I'm trying to put into words what I have this visualization in my brain and it's going like this, okay?
Do you need me to explain it for you?
Well, I'll explain it and then you'll explain what I explained.
Perfect.
So there's this elevated higher level of who we are. And there's this physical world level of who we are. And our emotional intimacy, our values, the essence of who we are is like, I mean, it's who we really, really are. And the physical part of who we are holds on to that emotional side of us and the physical side of us. And when you bring it together in the right environment with somebody that you're married to, that you're going to stick with for the rest of your lifetime, you have the ability to build the highest, most powerful, connected relationship. And when you do that with somebody that you maybe won't see tomorrow or next week or next month, it's very volatile, and it is a highly risky proposition, because I am sharing the everything of who I am, my inside, my outside, my all of me with you, and you might not even be there tomorrow. And it just, it's risky. Why is it risky? It's so risky because it gets people like all in when you're not all in, which gets people messed up and gets them all out. It just gets them all over the place.
It's just
Translate.
Yeah, I don't know that I can translate that, so I hope you all got it. But it reminds me of, I think what you're saying is that it's just more powerful to a certain degree, or at least exponentially more powerful together with the emotional intimacy. And so if you've already established a relationship, then we assume that there's some level of intimacy there.
Yes, and when you're married, it's the highest of the high. It's the most powerful.
So this is what I was going to say. It reminds me what you're saying, and it's not even directly exactly the same thing, but this is something that I learned that I found fascinating, which is that every relationship, and I think this is a common idea, but every relationship that we have in our lives resembles and is a reflection of a different element of our relationship with God, right? Father, child, teacher, student, friend, whatever, all the different kinds of relationships we have.
Yeah.
And then a husband-wife represents the most intimate relationship that we have with God. Which is why, unlike the Christians, for example, we don't say that physical intimacy is like, oh yeah, you can have it, let's create marriage as the framework within which it's acceptable because we know you won't be able to abstain, but rather it's like, no, we want you to have this. We just want you to have it in the right framework so that you can use that as a growing tool. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. It also triggered another thought, which is that if you think about physical intimacy, the highest form of a couple being together brings new life, really, like physical, new life into this world. And that's what physical intimacy has the potential to do. So it's so powerful that if you do it in the wrong way, it brings death. Like it brings death to the relationship. It brings, I don't mean death. I mean,
destruction. Anything
destruction. Thank you.
The more powerful, the higher you are, the harder you fall, right? The more powerful something is, the more powerful the negative effect of destruction is as well.
Correct.
Oh my God, this is like a new book coming out.
Do not even get me started on new books, Sarah, unless you're on board.
Do you want a minute? Wow, that got really deep really fast.
Yeah, by the way, that got really deep. Thanks for sticking with us through that. I don't think we've gone that deep on a webinar before. That is you are now here for the deepest of the deep webinar. We've done over 20 webinars, and this is for sure the deepest one.
All right, so I know I mentioned physical intimacy, and someone's asking, how do you define that? But I'm going to let you define that because we actually discussed it in a previous webinar where we talked about the different intimacies. Aleeza, what's spiritual intimacy? And what does that look like in a relationship? Side tangents, I know.
side tangent, how do we define spiritual intimacy? Spiritual intimacy is when, so let's just do a comparative study here. So physical intimacy is where we have time for that physical connection to exist. Emotional intimacy is where we have time for that emotional connection to exist at a more intimate, deep level. Spiritual intimacy is the same, where we have time for our spiritual, the essence of who we are and what we believe to exist simultaneously in that space together, where we're both so connected, like you could feel it, right? And that exists between us. Actually, if you do that, by the way, my kids are like, Ema, do this. Do you feel that? You do it really fast for a long time and you feel like you're like holding a ball. Do it. You feel it, right? And then you can like get it so that you like throw the ball. You feel it feels like a ball. It feels like something is moving. Anyway, there's this energy that happens between you. There's this intimacy. We're calling this energy that happens between you, this intimacy. It can be a conversation. It can be an understanding that I get into it. I get it. I understand it. I understand you. Even if we don't believe the same things, but I can connect to what you're saying, and we throw the conversation back and forth and we dig in, and that's the intimacy. That's the moment where we're not thinking about anything, emotional. We're not thinking about anything physical. We're in a place of spiritual intimacy. We're exploring that and what that means to us.
Thank you. All right, Aleeza, if you are far into a relationship, how does a relationship benefit from not having non-sexual touch? So when we talk about physical intimacy and all the questions we got about physical intimacy, I think it's fair to say that most of them refer to physical touch that is more sensual, sexual. What about not that, non-sexual touch? Why would you say stay away from that as well?
Yeah, it's still a level. I'm telling you, my husband held my hand under the chuppah. You like grabbed my hand for the first time. I was like, oh, melted. I dated him. I got engaged to him. I didn't touch him. Like maybe we bumped standing next to each other. Well, not really, but like nothing. And then he held my hand and there was a moment. Do you have that moment every time you hold somebody's hand? Do you have that electric feeling? Do you know what that feels like? Do you know how to generate that type of electricity? Don't touch. That's how you generate it. That's how it exists. That's how it happens. So you can't.
And how important is it?
Build that. I mean, I don't know. I like that feeling. I mean, the first time he held my hand was better than any, like it was I'm talking to you now. We're married 18 years coming up in 2 weeks. It's a moment that is still ingrained in my memory. And he held my hand. Like, what's the big deal? Aleeza, you don't know about physical intimacy. Holding hands, like nothing. I'm telling you, you don't know about this. If you don't know what it means to hold a hand, if you don't know what it feels like to hold a hand, to be held by the other hand, right? If that's nothing to you, you're too normalized to touch. Touch is insignificant to you. So you don't know how to generate the power and the fuel that's behind touch and physical intimacy to generate a higher level connection. So like, okay, so fine. So hold hand. What's the big deal? You're right. It's on one hand, it's not a big deal. It's nothing. On the other hand, it's not a big deal. That's a problem. Why does your physical relationship, holding hands, why is that not a big deal? That should be a huge deal to you. That should actually be meaningful, powerful, important, right? Sorry, I got really excited about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's reminding me back before I knew you, I used to watch Matthew Hussey and like the relationship coaches. And I think there's a reason that they talk about if you want to show that you're attracted to someone and you want to develop a relationship with someone, and all the signs that someone's interested in you is like, touching them on the elbow. Like when you make a joke, you touch them.
Pat them on the shoulder, you grab them, right.
By mistake, bump elbows, gently lay your hand on their leg. Like there's a reason for that. And it's not like, is that non-sexual touch? Sure. But really, it's not. If that made any sense.
Touch should bring about intimacy. And if it's not bringing about intimacy, then why are you engaging it? Just because it's the norm? Like, don't follow all the, norms of the world. Not everything in the world works out okay. Try something different. Also, I always say this, if what you're doing hasn't been working for you, try something different. These are suggestions that are different for some people. And it's like, hey, give it a shot, see what you have to gain. And if it's already not working, like, play the game a little bit differently.
So someone's asking, isn't it possible to feel that kind of electricity and hand-holding with someone prior to marriage? Like, if it's the right person, can't you still have that experience?
Such a good question. You can feel a connection. For sure, you could feel a connection. Can you feel what I felt under the chuppah? Knowing that that person chose you and you chose them, and you're going to stick together for the rest of your life, and they just grabbed your hand after not touching you. And you wait, like, are you going to feel what I felt? No, you won't feel that. You won't feel that. Is it a level of a connection? Will you feel a spark? Can you feel a spark or connection or chemistry with somebody? You can. Can you feel a physical, emotional, spiritual, holy connection with them? You can't. You can't. There's a certain element that's missing. Holiness, kedusha, it only exists when it is a proper relationship. A proper relationship is a marriage. So you want to reach that level of connection where, like, we can, like, do, right? We got all the levels, right? You can't hit that level unless you have that key. The key to that is marriage. So can you hit a level of connection? Yeah, we could get somewhere on the charts. Is that going to feel good to you? Yeah, physical connection feels good. Even if your friend gives you a hug, even if your mother, your father, somebody gives you a hug, like, physical connection should feel good. And we need it. And we should get it from somebody else before marriage, not that person. Get it from one of your friends or somebody from your family. Get it from other people in your life, and kind of hold out for something higher if you can. Try it.
All right.
I feel like I'm doing like an infomercial for non-physical touch. Da, da, da. You should try it because it's really great. You should not try it with your date.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm going to hear this jingle for the rest of my life. You're totally going to do something with this. Okay. Carly, did you write that down? All right, Aleeza, we are at 9:00, so we have like 20 minutes left. So let's start running through these questions. With that said, this next one's going to need a little bit of a preview, an introduction from you. If my partner wants a physical relationship pre-marriage, is that indicative of their self-control or values with regards to separation during nida? So quick overview on what nida is and how this question is relevant, and then an answer, please.
Oh, I'm giving a quick overview. Yeah. I thought you were.
Oh, girl, you've done this for more years than I have.
Okay, so in marriage, even married couples don't touch sometimes. Oh, shocker! There are times where my husband and I do not engage in physical touch, and it's basically like half the month, somewhere between 12 to 15 days. So there is this amazing holy time period. It is built into the fabric of family purity and the Jewish calendar for a married couple. So the question is, how do you keep that spark alive in marriage? How do you keep a relationship amazing and to such a high level? And the answer is disengage from physical touch. Build that desire, build that connection, that want to be with the other person, and then re-engage again. So we do that around a woman's menstrual cycle, and we take a period of time off during her cycle and a week after. And then she goes to the holy, holy, holy mikvah, one of my favorite mitzvahs in the whole world. It is so spiritual, holy, and pure. That's a whole nother webinar, maybe for the ladies sometime. And then she comes home, and then the couple is able to be together again. So, sorry, what's the question? Because now I got engaged in answering.
The question
explaining
is,
what it is.
If my partner wants a physical
is it indicative of,
yeah.
Okay. So the question is, if somebody wants to engage in physical intimacy before marriage, well, wait, what happens when we get married? I thought we're supposed to have this together, separation, together, separate. Are they going to engage in that? Are they not? You're going to have to ask them. I don't know. Some people are like, oh no, I'll hold to it after marriage. And other people are like, well, I'll hold to it, but I'll modify the rules. I'll do it like this, but not like that. It's definitely a sign that they are a little more flexible in their approach to physical relationships. And it's definitely something you should inquire about if it's important to you. And I will say, in marriage, if you think it's hard in dating not to touch somebody for a little bit, try doing it in marriage for a couple weeks and then try coming together again. The whole goal is that when a couple is reunited, it's magical. It's like that first time that they held Aleeza's hand, he held my hand under the couple, or like when you had that first moment together, it's supposed to spark that again so that you can get back to that feeling that you once had and to build on it and to grow it again every time, every month when you're together.
So the short answer is maybe yes, maybe no. Talk to your partner. Like it's not necessarily
right.
It doesn't necessarily mean he won't, but it definitely means it needs to be a conversation.
Yep.
All right. If you're not going to have any physical touch, how do you know you are physically compatible?
You don't know. It's totally a risk and a gamble, isn't it? You can get married. How can you get married? Because again, if you have the skills to be able to work through things with each other, then you're going to have communication. You're going to have emotional intimacy. You're going to have all the other tools and resources that you need to be able to figure this out. And if you're still struggling, you're going to go to a sex therapist or somebody who can help you to learn the tools that you need to communicate with each other, because I love you and you love me. And this isn't working exactly. Like, how does this work again? Can you, like, break it down for me? Let's take a few steps back and let's see how we can find our compatibility and find our little relationship physical groove.
Awesome. What are your thoughts on sexting?
I mean,
you know what that is, right? Texting?
Wow. Yeah.
Like,
no, yes, I know what it means, but like, what? Okay, my thoughts. What are my thoughts on it? My thoughts are, no, we don't give yourself away. And I'll tell you my thoughts. You want to know my real thoughts? Okay.
I think that was the question. Yes.
What are your thoughts? Okay. My real thoughts are the following. Client accidentally.
Can't hear you. You just went out for a second. Start over.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm saying it. a client, not a male client, a female, thank God. A female client once accidentally sent me that text message. And I was like, and they immediately wrote back, oops, her name is A. And his name was A. Alan. They were kind of close together in my thing, and it accidentally sent to you. Sorry.
Hey.
Okay? It really happened.
That's awkward.
Right? Okay. Forget about my story, okay? Where is this going? And what is the purpose of it? The whole purpose of it is to get them excited about you. They're already excited about you. They need this. You need this. What if this photo goes to an Aleeza? I had another situation where somebody was messaging with somebody who wasn't a real somebody. It was maybe a catfish or whatever you want to call one of those other people who are just fake outs. And guess what they did with that video? They bribed them and they told them, I'm going to go public with this if you don't pay me $1,000. That also happens. These things happen in life. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Even if it's somebody you know, you trust, you like, they like you. Get married, then you want to do it. Husband and wife.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second.
Play.
Let's say you're in a virtual relationship. Let's say you already met this person. You already like each other. You're developing. Your relationship is developing, and you are the kind of person who's going to have a physical relationship. Like, if you're not going to have a physical relationship, I understand, avoid it. But let's say you are the type of person who's going to have a physical relationship, and you've already seen each other in person. Maybe you were already physical, and you're long distance or whatever. For whatever reason, you're mostly virtual dating. Like, for a lot of people, that's a big part of keeping up the relationship. And we're
Okay,
not,
so wait. Okay, so wait.
necessarily talking about like pictures. They could be, but not necessarily. Like you can, like if you send someone a text that's like not meant for them, it's awkward. And then like they said to you, wasn't meant for you. You know, it's meant for Alan.
My eyes didn't need to see that. Okay? It's not what I want to see.
Basically, what Aleeza is saying is you should avoid that so that she doesn't get another one of those messages by mistake. Got it.
Okay, no, here's the other perspective, and we did talk about this on the last Let's Not Get Physical Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So Shmuley Boteach wrote a book that is called Kosher Sutra, like Kama Sutra, Kosher Sutra. And in the book, he talked about building up sexual tension and connection. How do you build sexual tension? Well, you do it by not giving it, by not being physically engaged, or by not sexting, or by not doing those things. When you do those things, this, believe it or not, I know you think, and until you buy into this and try it, you won't know, but try it and challenge me, right? You think that by doing these things, it builds the physical intimacy, it builds. And I'm just telling you, it reduces the sexual tension. It builds physical intimacy, it reduces sexual tension. Every relationship needs that sexual tension. And you are taking the sexual tension level and you're going from like an 80%, a 90%, you're going zoom, and you're plummeting it down to a 0. So like, yeah, I got physical intimacy. Great. Yeah, but you have 0 sexual tension. And guess what happens with no sexual tension, right? When there's no tension, it can't work. There has to be tension in the relationship. And if you're constantly giving physically or sexting or any way, you are giving away the tension every single time. It's gone. And then the need for the intimacy, the physical intimacy comes more, and the sexual tension decreases and more, and eventually it just doesn't work. And you could say, but it's not true. And I could say, yeah, but you're not married to any of those people that you did all those things with. So it didn't work for you yet. So maybe it's worth trying a different way. That's all.
Someone sharing, it's like snacking all day and not having an appetite for dinner.
Exactly. Like you gotta save up. Like wait even if it's only 2 or 3 hours, right? But you gotta have that balance. If you don't have that balance, the relationship won't stick. It will disappear. I've had women tell me, I had to be with him on the first or second date. We just had to, otherwise he wouldn't have stuck with me, or he's not interested anyway. And I have the men, and they call me on the phone and they tell me, they're like, yeah, if she's with me, like never marrying her. She's not good enough. And I'm like, but you enticed her. And he's like, yeah, I know. I mean, I couldn't help myself, but she's not for me. I'm like, oh. So ladies, don't do it. Men, hold back, man. Hold back. It's better. You'll feel even better when you come together in that moment, when you build that tension. We got to build the tension.
Awesome. All right. Next question. How do I know that I'm not just staying in this relationship because I want to be physical with my partner? And the longer we don't touch, the more cloudy my vision is to want to stay in the relationship.
Nope. If you don't like their personality, you're not staying in the relationship. You are not just waiting for physical intimacy. I am not pretty sure. I am sure. You cannot tolerate somebody you don't like. And if you don't like them, you won't be with them. If you like being in their presence, if you have a good time, if you have a good energy, if you have a good connection and you want them, great. It's going to motivate you to get to chuppah. It's going to motivate you to get to marriage. But if you're not sure if you like them, or you're just waiting for the physical intimacy, no, you're not. I don't buy that. There's no way. You've got to be, listen, this is my playful side. Don't take this seriously like Aleeza has an attitude. I like to be playful and animated, especially on webinars, but there's just no way you're going to stick with somebody that you don't actually like on the inside if you're not getting anything physically, right? We could agree on that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think I know what this person is asking. There's definitely, especially, it's with the person you like. It's there when it's with the person you like, because you're like, wait, am I staying because I want that, because I like them, because I'm attracted? But at the end of the day, if you didn't like them, you wouldn't. You would leave. If you didn't like them and you weren't getting anything physical, you would leave.
Right.
You would leave.
Right. Yeah. Don't worry. I logicked it all out. I've been coaching thousands of people. This is all. time. Like, it's all logicked out.
All right, Aleeza, why is marriage the ultimate proper relationship versus a long-term committed relationship?
So the Jewish answer is marriage brings about kedusha, brings about holiness. It connects us mind, body, and soul, and you have a soul mate. Okay, if you have a committed relationship, you have a committed mate. Okay, if you want a soul mate, you've got to marry them. How do you make somebody your soulmate? You marry them. That's how they become your soulmate. You can't have that without marriage, without this holiness, without this elevated status. And I'm not just talking about you go to the courthouse and you get, your certificate and you're married. I'm talking about a Jewish wedding. I'm talking about a chuppah. I am talking about when God created this world, he said, there's a soul, and you're going to come down into this body, and this part of the soul is going to come down into this part of the body, and I will reunite them. They will be reunited in this world, and we will complete them in this world. And that only happens with marriage. It doesn't happen with a committed relationship. And like a committed marriages can break, and there can be a break and there can be a divorce. But there is a level of commitment that is unlike anything else in the world. And it doesn't happen with a committed relationship. It only happens with marriage.
Thank you. Can you be in a strongly established relationship and be physically attracted to someone, but not think they're pretty or handsome? And can you make a relationship like that work?
You're attracted, but you don't think they're pretty or handsome. What does that mean? Like, I think
it just means I'm gonna like put words in this person's mouth without any other information. But I think just meaning they're not objectively pretty or handsome. Ooh, monkey story. Cue monkey story, Aleeza.
Just wait a minute.
It makes so much sense to me.
No, but they're saying they are pretty or handsome, but they're not objectively. They are to me.
They're saying I am physically attracted to him or her, but I don't necessarily think they're pretty or handsome. Why do they have to be pretty or handsome as long as you're physically attracted to them?
Doesn't physical attraction mean that you would think that they'd be pretty or handsome? I'm trying to think of somebody that I've ever thought was pretty or handsome, but wouldn't like, like with a girlfriend, you can be like, oh, she's pretty. So I'm not attracted to her, but she's pretty.
I don't know. I just had this scenario.
Like that's kind of not your type. It's kind of like it's not your type.
Right.
No, but I don't get it. If you're attracted, like, I don't care if you think they're pretty or handsome. I just care that you're attraction is what I'm curious about.
Exactly.
Okay. I don't really fully get this whole question, but I'm fine to say that
I think
attracted to them.
If this was your question, you can follow up. But I think it reminds me of this time I went out with someone, and it was the first time that I seriously was attracted to a guy that I went out with, and I was showing again. I was like, sorry, don't touch him. Sorry, don't touch him. Sorry, don't touch him.
But you didn't think he was handsome? You were attracted, but you didn't think he was handsome?
I thought he was good looking. Yeah,
but that's not what they're saying. That's not what they said.
But 3 days later, or 3 dates later, I was like,
oh, you didn't think he was attractive anymore.
And now I just saw a picture of him, and I'm like, how in the world? And my friend to me at the time was just like, that's your type? Really? Like that? And I was like, what do you mean? Don't you think he's hot? And she was like, no. I was like, whatever. We have different types. And I just saw a picture of him now. And
no, but you thought he was. This is a little different.
But I don't think you're right. It is a little different. Fine. So tell them the monkey story.
It's not. It's also.
Oh, it's also not the same thing because
it's not the same at all.
I think if I'm understanding the question, you're just asking if you can recognize that a person is not objectively pretty or objectively beautiful by society's standards.
Yeah, I don't care about society. You're attracted. Game on, run with it. Yes.
Yeah. And if that wasn't the question, you have like 3 minutes to clarify. Could you say that it's inner beauty versus outer beauty? No. If you're attracted to, you need to be physically attracted.
Some people are attracted to inner beauty,
first,
and
then the attraction grows. You still
yeah,
need
but
to
they
be
could
physically
no,
attracted
but
to someone.
they could still be neutral with the outer beauty and really attracted to the inner beauty, and the outer beauty grows a little, like enough that it's okay, but they're still always attracted to the inner beauty, and the outer beauty is just neutral. So if that's the question, that also can work. I've seen that work a lot.
That wasn't the question. We just got a clarification.
But that's okay. That was a good answer.
That was a great point. And if you're spiritually evolved, you honor inner beauty more than outer beauty. I'm gonna kind of like disagree with that. I think you can be very spiritually evolved and still honor outer beauty. I don't think one over the other is necessarily indicative of, like, yeah, if you're a shallow person, then I understand not caring about inner beauty, but you can be a very spiritual person. And physical attraction is like, we were created to be physically attracted to other people for a reason, for a really good reason, to get married. Shocker. Okay. Anyway, the clarification was, could be the person might have defining physical features which might turn you off, but overall you still find them attracted. Is that
great?
possible?
Good. Keep overlooking those physical features and go for it. Yes. Love it.
Yes?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. All right. I like this. I have to share this. I saw a guy with a nose. What?
I like this. I know. Yeah.
I saw a guy with a nose I loved. When I mentioned it, my friend busted out laughing because that guy was teased his whole life for that. We all have different tastes, so who cares if they're not attractive to others? So that wasn't the question, but that's a great point. I like that. All right. Okay, we got 2 more, so we're perfectly on time. We got 2 specific questions that I think we're gonna go for them. And if they're too specific and you need more information, then you'll just book a session with Aleeza. But number 1, I think you can probably answer. I'm secular and divorced from a non-Jew. Does that eliminate me from dating or marrying a Jew?
No. You may marry a Jew. No, but it does eliminate her from a Kohen. Correct.
But even a Jew who's divorced can't marry a Kohen.
Correct.
So you good.
Very Jewish.
I'm waiting for, like, Aleeza, where are your, like, bumper stickers? You need a bumper sticker that says date until you hate him and marry Jewish. Date him or mate him. Hate him or mate him. Okay, so here's a specific question. There's a lot of background information that I'm going to share. I'm a very active widow from a modern Orthodox. My kids are Haredi. I found that traditional Orthodox men who are divorced lean towards physical intimacy. I'm developing an online relationship, woohoo, virtual relationship, with a man 13 years my junior. Is it inappropriate for me to say good for you? Good for you. Since April via WhatsApp. It's been fun for him as I'm very funny. We met through JWed. He's very guarded. Israeli men are like that and are also used to women chasing them. He's in Haifa. I'm in Jerusalem. I'm in no rush. I'm retired. I have everything I need except that special friend. We have not been on the phone. So it sounds like they're just texting on WhatsApp. I think he's exceptionally shy. Is that possible for a guy who's 63? He was drawn to my profile, which was over the top, amusing, creative, and a ray of light. From what I've heard from women is that with intimacy at our age, men can string you along for a year and then say goodbye. Is he testing my patience?
Well, so wait, the intimacy thing was thrown in there, but they haven't met. This is all virtual.
They haven't met. I don't even think they've spoken on the phone.
Yeah, we got to get you to phone and video. Like, I want you to see each other's faces.
So
I want you to connect.
So
but if he says, physical intimacy is like a must before marriage, and
No, I don't think he's saying anything about that. She's saying from what she's heard from other women
that's the thing.
That's a thing. And she thinks he's exceptionally shy, which might be why they haven't spoken on the phone.
Yeah, but that's too long. Like, it's nice. You have a nice emotional connection with somebody, but now the emotional connection is way out of balance. If the emotional connection is here, the I see you, I know you connection is here. You could talk on the phone once. He could be an amazing texter. And once you get on the phone and you're like, oh gosh, and then the whole thing's done. So we have to get you on the phone or video. If he's super shy, start with the telephone. If he can't handle the phone, you can't go on virtually like this for this length.
You're also not ever going to have a relationship if you can't.
I mean, we've got to. It can't be that you're so shy that you can't get on the phone. Correct. Right. We got to get you on the phone. Let's chick chock my hair.
And you're saying that will help her be able to figure out what his intentions are and what he's looking for. There we go.
Exactly.
All right, quick follow-up to the question about the feature that you don't like. I think you said just get over it. What if you can't just get over it? Like, sometimes you just can't get over it. So in that situation, do you still go?
Then you just have to ask yourself, I'm going to dump this person over their lovely crooked nose. I'm going to dump them over their crooked nose. Am I okay to get rid of them for their crooked nose? Is that like, am I good? Am I done? Everything else about them is amazing. I love all these things. I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk away. And this is the reason I'm walking away. Say that to yourself and go through the list of reasons. I am walking away. I can't take this anymore. If you could say, okay, yeah, I just can't do it, then you really can't. I'm sorry, it won't work out and it's very painful. If you're questioning yourself, then date them longer to see if that lovely crooked, do you see my lovely bump here? You see it? Right?
I see. I have a matching one.
Do you? Yeah, I can't see yours so well. Maybe you can't see mine either. Anyway, but
we can compare next time.
But if okay, but let's just take pictures and put on Facebook. We'll make a whole social media.
This is so weird.
But if you're really okay to walk away, then just walk away. It's okay. Like, it's got to be there. But if you could get over it, let's get over it. But if you really can't, you really can't. You got to ask yourself, but be real with yourself.
Thank you. This last question has nothing to do with virtual dating or physical intimacy, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What is your opinion of a prenup?
Oh, that's such a good question. So there's such thing as a halachic prenup, which is kind of the kosher prenup. It was not around when I got married, and I might not have done it. What?
I actually think it was.
It was? Well, nobody told me.
I know. It wasn't
18 years ago. Wait, 18 years ago?
Yeah, because the organization I spoke to said they were around for over 20 years, I think.
Okay, so it was.
And I was like, what?
It was super not.
Yeah. Uncommon. Definitely uncommon.
I have mixed feelings. I have to be honest. I have mixed feelings. A regular prenup. So there. Okay. Depending on the age and the stage and the person and the life and the background and the finances and yes. So some people have family businesses and family money and other things, and people get married and they're like, oh gosh, we don't know where you're coming from and what your story is. And hey, lots of marriages disintegrate. And so this is the best way to do it. In an ideal world, I would love not to have something like this in place. In this world, it seems like we kind of need to have it in place. And also in a halachic sense, to protect women so that they can actually get out of a marriage, so that they don't get stuck in a marriage for more than they should be. So what are my thoughts? My thoughts are, it's complicated. I don't have a simple answer to this. I wish that we didn't need something like this in the world. Those are my thoughts. It seems to me that this world needs this at this moment, and I wish it wasn't that way. Because I wish a marriage could be a marriage, and I wish that marriages, all of them, lasted a lifetime. But unfortunately, they don't.
And I know you didn't ask my opinion, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. I'm a huge fan of the halachic prenup, and I think every woman should get one. Or every couple, rather. All right. We're at 9:27. Do we have time for one more, or do we need to wrap up?
No, we need to wrap up. Can we, do I have to maybe do it? Pop Jessica on to say a quick hi. And
yeah, you have to do it.
I have to do it. So you just give me 1 minute here.
59, 58, 57, 56.
Okay, we're promoting her to panelist. I wonder if I have to throw her host to get her video on. All right. Unmute. Oh, here we go. I think we did it.
Can you hear me, guys? Oh, start
we can
video.
Hear you. Yeah.
It can hear me, but when I click start video, it says the host has stopped it. Maybe you just have to click something else.
If it ever works.
Technology.
No, I have to throw you host. All right, so I'll throw you host and then you'll just have to throw it back, okay?
Okay.
Throw your host, pop your video on it. Okay. Yep, and then throw host back.
Okay. Do I do that in the more?
So, I don't know where under
participants.
Yeah. Okay. So while she's throwing this back to me, so I want to make the introduction. Jessica is the owner, operator, chief matchmaker of Fast Pass to Love. She helps singles who are looking for love to find their partner. She is internationally recognized and acclaimed. She has certification from the Matchmaking Institute. She works with singles from all over the globe. She has a specialty of working with singles in Israel. She's in LA, or not LA, California. Yeah. But she's got clients from all over the States and all over the globe. And she is really phenomenal. We have been collaborating, as I mentioned at the beginning, and working together with her couples, or her singles, so that they get coaching and matchmaking, and it's a 1-2 punch. And we really work very hard to support everybody so that they get what they need and they gracefully get through this dating time period. So, Jessica, would you tell us just something, like if you have one quick story or one thing that you want to share with us, and also please tell people how to find you so that they can reach out, because I know you also have like resources and date ideas and things to do.
Sure. So this webinar is fabulous as usual. I love watching it every week, and I always send it to my clients to watch and tell them it's their weekly homework assignment. And you can always get the replay later. So that's awesome. So it's so wonderful that Aleeza and Sarah give their time to do this. It's like amazing content. Like usually you'd have to buy these courses online. They would cost thousands, and you get this all as the free gift from Aleeza and Sarah. And I know how hard Sarah works behind the scenes in the tech and the flyers. They're beautiful. So thanks for having me. I love collaborating with Aleeza. I love starting matchmaking with coaching. It's really the way to do it. The way I like to do it now is coach with Aleeza, get your confidence up, then do your professional photo shoot session. Sometimes you work with a fashion stylist, sometimes not, depends how you feel about your style. And then do another session with Aleeza after, and then start the process. And then when we need Aleeza more, because you start getting matched through me and things come up and you need to dig deeper, then we call Aleeza back in. So I like to say I'm kind of like the agent, like getting you, your audition at the new, for the new role, like if you're an actor, because I'm from Los Angeles near Hollywood. So I'm getting you those roles and those gigs and giving you the feedback that the casting director, would give you to be like, okay, come in for your second audition and try this. But Aleeza is helping you really manage your career. Like, hey, do you even want this role? Is this good for your career as an actor? So I use my Hollywood comparison a little bit there, just to, because I live here. And matchmaking and coaching are really hand in hand. Love working with Aleeza. And just a quick story about a couple I matched. They started as friends, and there was no physical intimacy because they were just friends. And it was like I'm so glad it was like that. I wish all the people I matched, I could just be friends at the beginning. And I'm going to always suggest Aleeza's 5-date rule. And it's always so nuanced though, because if you're talking for 2 months first, then maybe it'll be the 3-date rule. And some people will not want to listen to us, but we do the best we can. So, but it was really nice that they were friends first, because they did have one date and he wasn't feeling it. So they just became friends that went like to restaurants together, running together, Shabbat dinners. They were in Tel Aviv in the same social scene for all the 20s and 30s young professionals to hang out. And then after a year of being friends, he realized like, wow, like I have the perfect woman right in front of me. What is wrong with me? And I coached him a bit of like how to ask her if she's willing to take it further into the romantic way. And he even did ask me like, how should I say it? And should I try to kiss her? And so like, you like sometimes you laugh like, okay, I don't need coaching about exactly when to go in for the first kiss, but like you really do. And like these days more than ever, because we have COVID. So like I've heard things from clients like, I get off the plane, can I even hug her? Is she going to get offended if I hug her? So you kind of have COVID as a help to like implement the 5-date no touching. You know what I mean? So you can always kind of use that. But it's so smart, and I wish that the whole world would just adopt it and it was like a standard in our universe. Yeah. And hopefully little by little, Aleeza will get it into everyone's brain. So it did work for this couple. If you can think of it as like, I'm meeting a new friend, and like, let's see if I even like them as a friend before I touch them. And, you know, it worked for this couple, and I'm telling clients to do it this way. And I hope more and more will listen. And everyone's got to get Virtual Dating book. I can't wait to read it.
Oh, I have it.
So,
I have it.
yeah, so exciting. I love the Wi-Fi with the heart. It's like perfect branding.
Oh, it took so long to get there.
So it's so wonderful. I'm so excited to read it and give it to clients as gifts. And if you can't afford coaching or matchmaking, at least you can get the book. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. Yeah. And be your own coach. And so to find me, it's fastpasstolove.com. My last name is Fast, like the Disneyland Fast Pass to cut the line. So that's where I came up with Fast Pass to Love, because it was in my name. And so you go to fastpasstolove.com, fill out the free profile, completely confidential. It is not a dating app or a website where you can search. So only me and my matchmaking team see it, and Aleeza sees it if you're gonna work with me and coach with her. So that's, and if you do fill it out, you'll get my, I have a guide I put together of like different virtual dating ideas and different Facebook groups to join.
Really fabulous.
Because you can go on different Facebook groups and do speed dating through them that are usually free. So that's my free gift. And that's my spiel. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much for popping on. We're so glad to have you. And I'm going to let everybody know. Okay, so virtual dating, Carly put in the comments, but if you want to grab a copy, and I have this theory that I could get to number 1 on Amazon in dating. I want virtual dating to get to number 1, and I just think everybody needs to buy on the same day. So if everybody goes there now and buys right away, I think that we can get to number 1 in dating on Amazon. And it is, just type in virtual dating. If it doesn't pop up, you can type in Aleeza Ben Shalom, my full name, and that'll pop up. I would love it if you would take a look at it. It's great. I mean, it's really so well put together. Thank you to Sarah, and thank you to my entire team that worked tirelessly. But thank you to Sarah for her hours and hours of work on this. Also, what I want to tell you is that we have a whole team of coaches. So it's not just Aleeza, and Aleeza does coaching. I have a team of coaches who are phenomenal. There are 5 amazing coaches. One is Leah, and she does a Jewish personality analysis. It is so cool. I've had a bunch of people sign up and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this. I didn't know. Oh, and now, and like, I get it. And this is why this makes sense. And that didn't, and this worked and that didn't. We even have couples now dating based on personality analysis and who we think is right for each other. So if you're interested in that and you're like, oh, what's that all about? You can sign up for a 15-minute intro call with Leah. If you are interested in working with one of our other coaches, we have Michael, who is our only male coach, who is phenomenal. If you're looking for a male perspective and you're like, oh, I want, you know, like that's what I really need, you should sign up with him. We have Shira, who is wonderful. She works with men and women, all ages, all stages, all backgrounds. And she has a very warm personality and more of that like gentle, soft touch. If you are in your 20s and 30s and you're a woman, you are going to want to work with Reagan. She is fantastic. She's really a specialist for women in their 20s and 30s. She can help you with dating, with relationships, with profiles, with any aspect of it. And she sends you this full, you know, report after the session on what you went through and what your homework is. And it's amazing. I love it. If I was working with a coach, I'd be like, Reagan, I need that written report. I can't remember everything we said. She summarizes everything. And we also have Alana, who is a seasoned matchmaker and a coach, and she has a therapy background. She is, if you're looking for somebody who has a good, strong, bold personality, is going to tell you like it is and be straight with you and warm and engaging and like has a lot of wisdom about the process. She's phenomenal to work with. And all of our coaches work a la carte. It's 45-minute sessions, anywhere from 75 to 150 for the time together, depending on the coach. You can find out about everything online. If you are very serious and looking to make a commitment of time, and it's also a financial commitment, and you want to work together, I am taking on clients who are looking to work together for a period of time, for 3 months. So it's a real investment, and I would be happy to talk to you about that. Check out our website. We have, it's called the Under the Chuppah package that tells you more about what's involved with that and working together. And no matter what you need, we are here for you. So whether it's virtual dating and you grab a copy of the book, or if you're like, hey, this webinar was good, let me grab another webinar, free. We have over 20 webinars right now. They're on the website. That number is going to keep going up because we keep doing them every week, except not next week because it's going to be Sukkot, my favorite holiday. So we won't be here, and that's it. I'm gonna like give a wrap. So, but basically, go to marriagemindedmentor.com, grab an intro session. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything but 15 minutes. You get to know a coach. You get to see if we're a fit for you. And if you're like, Aleeza, I have no idea. You just ran through that too fast. Who should I work with? Sign up with me, and I will tell you who's the right person for you to work with based on who you are and what you need. Sound good? So happy you guys are here. Thank you again, Jessica. Thank you, Sarah, as
Thank
always.
you guys for having me.
All right.
And
everybody
Sarah,
have
Mazel Tov on your wedding. I didn't get to tell you. Awesome. You can get married during COVID, and Sarah is our living example and our co-host.
Yeah,
So it's
don't
great.
recommend it, but if that's your only option, do it. It's worth it.
Go for it.
Worth it.
Don't put your life on hold. I'm telling all my clients that too. They're like, should I date? I'm like, yes, because now you have Aleeza's book to help you figure it out, how to date virtually.
Amazing. All right. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.